You know that couple where one partner scrolls through their significant other's phone while they're in the shower? Or the one who needs constant reassurance, who asks, "Who's that?" every time a notification pops up? Yeah, most people think that's normal, that jealousy means you care. But then there's the other person, the one who genuinely doesn't care if their partner has close friends of any gender, who doesn't need to know where they are every second, who trusts without needing proof. And society looks at them like they're either lying or broken. But here's the thing, not getting jealous isn't about not caring, it's about something much deeper. And today, we're breaking down the psychology of people who don't get jealous in relationships, the ones society calls naive, but science calls emotionally evolved. Let's start with what jealousy actually is. At its core, jealousy is a fear response. It's your brain detecting a threat to something valuable, in this case, your relationship. For most people, that threat triggers a cascade of emotions: insecurity, possessiveness, the desperate need to control the situation. But for people who don't get jealous, something fundamentally different is happening in their psychological wiring. They're not suppressing the feeling, they're genuinely not experiencing the threat in the first place. Psychologists call this secure attachment. It's one of the four attachment styles developed in childhood, based on how consistently your emotional needs were met by your caregivers. People with secure attachment learned early on that love doesn't disappear when someone leaves the room. They internalized the belief that they are inherently worthy and that relationships are built on trust, not surveillance. So when their partner goes out with friends or talks to an attractive coworker, their nervous system doesn't scream danger, it just doesn't react. Because they genuinely believe that if someone wants to be with them, they will be. And if they don't, no amount of jealousy will change that. But there's another layer here. Some people don't get jealous because they have what psychologists call differentiation of self. This is a concept from family systems theory, and it basically means you know where you end and another person begins. You don't see your partner as an extension of yourself or a reflection of your worth. You see them as a separate human being with their own autonomy, their own friendships, their own inner world. And when you truly internalize that, jealousy loses its power. Because you're not threatened by their independence, you celebrate it. Here's something most people don't understand. Jealousy often has nothing to do with the other person's behavior. It's a projection of your own fears. Fear that you're not enough. Fear that you'll be abandoned. Fear that you're replaceable. But people who don't get jealous have done the internal work to separate their self-worth from external validation. They don't need their partner to avoid every attractive person on earth to feel secure. They feel secure because they've built that foundation within themselves. Now let's get into the neuroscience for a second. Studies using fMRI scans show that when people experience jealousy, the parts of their brain associated with threat detection and emotional pain light up, the same areas activated by physical pain. But people who report low levels of jealousy show significantly less activation in these regions. Their brains literally process relationship scenarios differently. What one person sees as a betrayal, another person sees as a normal social interaction. It's not denial. It's a completely different perception of reality. But here's where it gets interesting. Some people don't get jealous not because they're secure, but because they're avoidant. These are people with avoidant attachment styles who've learned to disconnect from emotional intimacy as a defense mechanism. They don't feel jealous because they've never fully let themselves need anyone in the first place. They keep one foot out the door emotionally, so nothing their partner does can truly threaten them. And from the outside, it looks like confidence. But on the inside, it's protection. So it's crucial to know, are you not jealous because you trust deeply, or because you never fully attached to begin with? Because one is freedom, the other is fear in disguise.
Let's talk about culture for a second. In many societies, jealousy is romanticized. It's seen as proof of love, as passion, as caring. If they're not jealous, they don't really love you, people say. But that's a toxic narrative rooted in possessiveness, not partnership. People who don't get jealous understand that love isn't about ownership, it's about mutual choice. Every single day, their partner chooses them. And that choice means infinitely more than any cage of control ever could. There's also a cognitive component here. People who don't get jealous tend to have what psychologists call an internal locus of control. This means they believe their happiness and relationship success come from their own actions and mindset, not from controlling external factors like who their partner talks to or where they go. They focus on being the best partner they can be, on building genuine connection, on creating a relationship worth staying in, and they trust that those efforts matter more than monitoring someone's every move. But let's be real, not getting jealous doesn't mean you don't have boundaries. There's a massive difference between trusting your partner and accepting disrespect. People who don't experience jealousy aren't doormats. They just respond to actual boundary violations with direct communication, not emotional spirals. If something genuinely crosses a line, they address it calmly and clearly. They don't need the drama of jealousy to validate their feelings. They know their worth doesn't fluctuate based on someone else's behavior. Here's something wild. Research shows that people in relationships with low jealousy report higher levels of satisfaction, better communication, and longer-lasting partnerships. Because when you're not constantly worried about threats, you have mental space for actual intimacy. You can be vulnerable. You can grow together. You're not stuck in a loop of suspicion and reassurance. You're building something real. And for those who struggle with jealousy, there's hope. It's not a fixed trait. Attachment styles can shift. Security can be learned. Therapy, self-reflection, and conscious relationship work can rewire those fear responses. You can move from, "I need to control this person to keep them," to, "I trust this person because I've chosen to trust myself." It takes time, it takes effort, but it's possible. So if you're someone who genuinely doesn't get jealous, who trusts without needing proof, who believes in autonomy over ownership, you're not naive, you're not cold, you're not too chill to care. You're just wired for partnership over possession, for confidence over control. You've learned that real love doesn't require constant reassurance or surveillance. It requires two people who feel secure enough in themselves to give each other space to exist fully, as individuals, not just as halves of a whole. And that's not something to question or apologize for. It's something rare and valuable, something to protect and nurture in a world that often confuses jealousy with love. Tell me, do you experience jealousy in relationships? Or are you the person everyone thinks is too trusting? Drop a comment and let me know where you fall on this spectrum, because I'm genuinely curious. And listen, if this one made you think, if it called out something you've experienced but couldn't quite name, make sure you hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe that friend who's always questioning whether their lack of jealousy is normal. And subscribe because we're just getting started. The next video is going to dive deep into the psychology of people who don't share their feelings. And trust me, that one's going to explain a lot about someone in your life, maybe even yourself. It's about the people who keep everything locked up tight, who process alone, who've built walls so high even they forget they're there. You won't want to miss it.